Hey guys, this is Ziana McIntyre here, and I'm very excited because today I'm bringing on Jake Cohen, who is a friend of mine. I have to actually ask him because I cannot remember how we met. So we're gonna figure that out. But he's a friend of mine who used to own and operate a hotel with his family, and then now owns and operates 10 midterm and short-term rentals. And he's going to be my facilitator for the STR MTR Mastermind that we've got starting up in mid-May. So I want to bring him on so you guys can kind of learn all about him and his experience and the plans that we have for this really cool mastermind. And just until he logs on, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this came about, right? Well, Jake has two little kids, and he lives in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, which is a little ski town. And he realized that he wouldn't be able to get to any conferences this year. And so Jake said, I need to bring the conference to me. So he called up everybody that he knew in the short and midterm rental space and said, hey guys, what if we do a mastermind in person live at my house? So he had luckily a triplex that he also owns in Steamboat Springs. And he kind of picked an end of the season time that wouldn't necessarily be booked. So we got there on a weekend and stayed over a Monday, Tuesday, and a whole bunch of us got together and talked about everything that we wanted to know. And it was so fun because it was created together. So I am just trying to figure out how to get Jake on. Jake, you have to request to get on. I see you are in here, but I don't know. Okay, maybe I can invite you here. Thanks, guys, for your patience. Let me just see if I can figure this out. Went down to Steamboat Springs, and it was a small group of us, but the coolest part is that he said, hey, what do you want to learn about? Right? And he put that in our own hands and our own responsibility, because I think what happens is people show up to a conference and they just sit and they receive a bunch of information, but there's not that dialogue. There's not the, hey, but what about this? Or have you tried that? Or I've been thinking about this thing and I don't know if it's a crazy idea. Well, we got to bounce all those ideas off of each other. And I feel like I got so much more out of it than I did all the conferences I go to. And you guys, I go to a lot of conferences. I am speaking at 4 or 5 this year, and that's only because those are the ones I really wanted to go to. So yeah, I just thought it was so valuable that it made me want to have a mastermind that had the similar format. Oh, it seems like Jake is unable to join. So Jake, a couple of pointers. Make sure you're on really good Wi-Fi. Maybe also make sure that you're on the latest version of Instagram. So if you need to do an update or anything, check that. And I will try to invite you again. So yeah, we are wanting to do an MTR STR mastermind because not only do we think we're going to get a ton out of it, which I was actually surprised. A lot of times I go to conferences and I leave with the people. That's what I really get out of going to a conference. But maybe there's not that much new information. Maybe it's a couple tidbits. But I learned so much from these people with all different amounts of experience that I just thought, wow, it's such a cool thing. And the other thing that I really loved about doing the mastermind in this style is that Jake empowered us. He said, hey, if you feel like you're uniquely good or well-versed in something, then, come and teach something. So I had my friend Rachel join last minute, and she does design. And so she gave us a whole design class. Every single one of us taught on something. I taught on MTRs, of course. Jake did a huge thing on pricing that was so incredible that it actually made me hire him and say, my pricing is jacked and I need you to make it amazing. Let's plan a future. Thank you so much for completing my MTR class. And he said that, or he or she, I'm not sure who you are because I can't tell, that they got a lot of value out of it. So yeah, we also ran an MTR course, and that was done last night. It was an 8-week course. But with this MTR STR Mastermind, it's going to be a monthly, once a month hangout. And hey, Paula, sorry, I didn't know your Instagram handle. And where was I going to go with that? yeah, we're going to be ongoing. So, all right, Jake is back. Let's see about this. Welcome, Jake. Let's hope Instagram gods let this happen. Sometimes stories a
Hey, I made
junkie. Hey,
it. I am so tech savvy,
yes.
everybody. Uh,
Oh my goodness. You're the most, which is funny because I was just telling everybody that I hired you to do the most important tech, which is our pricing. And so you're a price ninja, but you're an Instagram dum dum.
social media is, has been something I have struggled with basically since Facebook came out. What was it, 20 years ago, and I was still in college. So,
Yeah.
yeah, these days, luckily, I have someone like Ziana who can help me and bring me up with all of you on social media. And I'm really excited to get to interact with all of you as part of this new mastermind.
Yeah. So I'm going to interview you a little bit. And if there's things that you really want to bring up, do it. But tell us just a little bit about how did you first get into the world of short-term rentals and midterm rentals?
I did things a little bit backwards. Right now, the hot thing in short-term rentals is to buy a boutique hotel and to run that. My parents bought our first hotel when I was 10 years old. So I was hanging pictures on the wall when we were opening when I was 10 years old, trying to get everything ready for our first guests. It was a beautiful property on the shores of Lake Tahoe. And I lived on that property and learned hospitality every single day, cooking breakfast for guests, serving cocktails and appetizers for guests, and learning all of the ins and outs of how to deal with the little problems that come up in our business. When I graduated college, my parents had bought a second small hotel, a 1950s theme hotel in Palm Springs, California. And I went and ran that from the time I was 22 until 27. I actually won California Hotel Lodging Association Manager of the Year Award. And we had a lot of success. The downfall, unfortunately, was we tried so hard to make the guest experience above everyone else that we had so much staff and we were investing so much time that we really weren't making a whole lot of money. And so eventually my parents decided they were going to get out of that. They wanted to retire. They're now in their 70s. And I became a firefighter and then said, you know what, I still really love real estate. And my mom and I actually partnered up because when she retired, she didn't have enough money to fund her retirement. So what we did is we said, hey, I'll take the money. I'll start investing in real estate. We did some long-term rentals. And eventually we realized long-term rentals weren't what we wanted, that the tenants were not the kind of tenants that we wanted to deal with. And we loved the idea of getting into short-term rentals because it was that hospitality that we created when we owned the hotels, but without the 24/7 all the time work that we were doing there. We didn't have to prepare breakfast and make cocktails and appetizers. We could just have a really amazing place and let the guests do that for themselves. So I've been in it since 2017. And actually, the funny thing is when we owned our hotel in 2010, I think I joined Airbnb before it was really a big thing. But never got a booking off of it until I got back into it in 2017. So it's been a hell of a ride. I am on my third owned short-term rental property, total of what do I have? 8 units now that I own on Airbnb. And then I also co-host 3 units. And now I am starting a new pricing program, which I'm super excited about to work on with Ziana.
Yeah. Have you taken a look at that property yet? I'm like really excited to hear about it.
I think we're going to be able to make some headway there. One of the things with pricing that a lot of people forget is you get one of these algorithm pricing programs like Price Labs, which is my preferred program. And a lot of the gurus out there, they only tell you the 101, which is plug in your base price, plug in a minimum price, plug in a maximum price, and let the algorithm do its work. But unfortunately, these programs still need our inputs, and they need us to check on them and make sure that we're still in the right place. So that's where I have found a little bit of my niche. I majored in economics. I love numbers. So I like digging into all that data, downloading those CSV files, and just sitting and loving Excel over and over. So not everybody is into that, which is why we found maybe this is a good thing for me to do for people.
Totally. Yeah. So I just want to, this is not even what we're talking about today, but I'm just going to put a little aside about it, is that a lot of people want to self-manage because they don't want to pay 25 to like 45% for a manager, which I get, like things are tight. We've got high prices. We got high interest rates. Like it's hard to let that go. But maybe looking at having a pricing manager who is going to cover the pricing software anyway, so you don't have to worry about that expense. But then you've got maybe a small percentage or a one-time fee, or you guys do quarterly updates, however you want to work with a pricing manager. But we were looking at your pricing when we were kind of doing the class at the mastermind, and you were showing us how, look, I'm making $30,000 more than some of the competition properties, and that's not for nothing, right? So that kind of difference can be really worth it. And so if you guys are curious about this, I encourage you to reach out to Jake. I know he's still creating and figuring out what he's going to be offering. So that's always a good time. I like to get people right at the beginning. Sometimes you get a deal, you never know. You're like grandfathered in and they love you, so they keep, take extra care of you. So anyway, reach out to Jake for that. But what we're doing here today, if you guys are just jumping on, is we're talking about our STR MTR Mastermind that we are launching in mid-May. And so Jake is going to be the main facilitator. I will definitely be there for most of the sessions. And I just want you guys to get to know Jake a little bit. So, okay, you told us all about your hospitality experience, right? Why do you think this mastermind is something that could be valuable
I think
for somebody?
that being in a mastermind program is something unique in the sense that you're not only having someone speak at you or record videos that you're going to watch, but you're actually getting to interact with another person. And there's real value in that, because I feel like every one of us has a slightly different take on how we do things. So, for example, we're at our mastermind and we're all talking about the software and all this stuff. And one of the people brings up, you know what I do to set myself apart is I make cookie dough and I leave it in the freezer for my really guests. Cool. And all of us were like, what? Mind blown. She makes her special cookie dough, and she said half of the guests mentioned it in their reviews because it is so impactful and they love it so much that there's this personal touch. So think about some of those personal touches that you can do in your business. But I think just using that as an example, that's something I would absolutely never think to do. And, people look at someone like Ziana, who has all of this experience, and says, Ziana must know everything. But Ziana wasn't thinking about making cookie dough. This was something totally new. And you don't have to make it yourself, but I think that does provide something special where you can say, hey, I made you some cookie dough. It's in the freezer. If you'd like to use it, enjoy some of my cookies. And that's amazing. So little touches like that, I feel like are the thing that sets this industry apart from a hotel, where you're going to get a very sterile experience in most corporate hotels. With this, it's a business where we can have some personality, we can have some fun with our guests, and we can learn a lot from other people that are already doing this.
Yeah. So April said she already applied. So thank you, April. We're really excited to see you in our mastermind. We are having people apply. So we want to make sure that we can put people in pods, because we're only meeting once a month, that they can meet more often if they like. And we're clumping people based on where they're investing or where they live, so that they've got some commonality and can really kind of help with a more refined kind of lens, right? So that's awesome, April. We'll definitely review that. If you guys are wondering where to apply, in my bio, there's a link for the mastermind. So definitely go check that out there. Yeah. So what were some things that you got out of the mastermind that we did? I know every single one will be really, really different and unique. But what were some takeaways for you after being in this business like most of your life?
Yeah,
Like,
it's always interesting
yeah.
when you get into a room of people. One of the people that we were meeting with was really interested in, should I be an influencer in this industry? And that's something that I've really struggled with
Yeah.
over the last year or so, because I really wanted to coach folks. I want to share my knowledge, but I've been at this point where I've realized, I don't love the social media aspect. I don't want to sit in front of my computer and record and edit videos. It's just not something I'm very good at. But I love coaching and I want to be in front of people and help you out. So I think thinking through some of these modern day dilemmas, I guess, in our lives are really interesting thought processes. And
Yeah.
we actually had this discussion while we were walking. It wasn't while we were sitting in front of a computer.
Yeah.
We decided, let's go for a walk and let's chat about this. And we really kind of explored all the different ins and outs of, what do you want to get out of being an influencer? Is it just to inflate yourself and feel good about yourself? Is it because you want to sell something to people? Is it because you want your friends and family to understand that this is not a hobby, that it's a real business for you? And in the end, I think we all kind of came away with a really
Yeah.
different snippet of what we wanted. And I think what I came to was, I don't have to post a video every single day, but I could post a video once a week or once a month if that's what I feel like doing.
Yeah.
And that might be the way you'll see me interact with social media, is when I have that opportunity to share something that I'm really interested in, like pricing, then I will record a video and share it. But I'm not going to feel like I have to do
Yeah.
it every single day. So it's just something different. Right.
And when I pull
Right.
you in,
Exactly.
when I pull you into
Exactly.
the
So,
light.
the funny thing is, I was an
Yeah.
actor. I was a theater major growing up. So you would think I'd love being in front of the camera. But I think the thing that's hard for me
Yeah.
is interacting with all the technology and making the video look good when it hits the screen. I don't mind being on camera.
It's a lot of
Right.
skills they're
Exactly.
asking from us right now. It's like, oh, all of a sudden you've got to know how to write content, have to know about a subject. You've got to know about video editing and setting up backgrounds and all the
Right.
technology. I'm like, what the? And it happened in a second, it was like from one year to the next, it was like, oh, we're
Exactly.
photos and now we're
Right.
video. So yeah, I do not blame you. And I was one of the lead ones that said, like, are you sure? I don't think you'd want to do this. And it's because I do it a lot. So I think one thing that's really important is to get across that people can get to financial independence. And when you're there, you can affect lives in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be so big and seen and egotistical. It can really be just in your community. It can be just in your family unit. So I think just getting that time is what's so important. And I think that's what we'll be talking about a little bit as well. It's like, these are really great discussion topics for people to figure out, okay, I hit my financial independence number. What do I do? What's
Yeah.
what's after that, right? So
Yeah, and I
I think
think
those
some
are
of the
great
other
things to
things
talk
that
about.
we might go into in this mastermind, obviously we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of the business. How, which software do you want to use?
Yeah.
Which camera are you going to have on the front of your house? All of those things, which are important. But I think at the end of the day, we're going more and more in the same direction. You may be using a different software than someone else, but you're going to have more or less the same messages going out. You may be using or be located in a different location, but you're going to share very similar experiences with guests. And if you're part of any of the big Facebook groups or anything like that, you're going to realize, man, people keep posting the same things over and over and over again. It's because we're all struggling with the same things. And that's what makes a mastermind so cool, is because instead of us being in this novel place of, oh man, this has never happened to me before, well, now you have a group of people that have probably all experienced this and can lend their hand in making you better without you having to maybe be in some of those pitfalls that everyone else has been part of, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, that was actually one topic that we added on to kind of last minute, is that we said, gosh, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we opened up our hospitable and we all looked at our auto messages and then talked about like why one is better than the other. And we were totally burnt out by that day because it's a lot. We were doing sessions kind of all day and we were together a lot and it was very social. But I got a few snippets just from like a very short bit of looking, and then we were like, okay, we're tired. But it was so interesting to see, oh, this person's language feels like more harsh, you know, and then this, because, you know, sometimes we're saying like no parties and here's all the fees and don't break our rules. But how can we say that in like a really friendly way, right? And maybe this is too early to give this information and all of that stuff. So, or this is way too long. No one's going to read that. And it was just really cool to have a few people's opinions and how valuable that was for each of us. So even I went back and edited a few of my messages after that. So, so many things that can be really great to brainstorm. And nowadays, things like cameras are becoming more and more important. I learned this the hard way from a recent burglary in my Airbnb. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out on my my Instagram. I've got a few silly videos about it, which we are almost back up and running, but it is a little bit of a blip in our history. But yeah, so I mean, another thing that's really cool to kind of get started with us at the beginning, I think, as like I had said earlier with Jake doing his pricing, it's so great to get started with someone in the beginning because you get really known by them. And we are already talking about doing a mastermind in person because we really loved that aspect. And so obviously the people that will be invited to something like that will be people that have been or are currently in our mastermind group. So if that's something you want to know about, it's definitely a time to get into our group and get an invite to events like that, because they're going to have to be a little bit small, right? I mean, how many people can you host in Gulf Shores? 20? I mean, we're probably not all going to want to share a bed.
True.
So
yeah, we have 10 bedrooms in Gulf Shores, so I think probably around 20 is as much as we would host there. But you know, if we decided we wanted a bigger event, there's certainly other people that we could reach out to and get involved with their units as well, because I do know a lot of my neighbors there. But I think really some of the benefits of doing something like this is from a smaller group. And that was one of the things we actually talked about with doing this virtual mastermind, is we said, we're not going to do groups of 50. We said, if we hit numbers of more than 20, then we're going to start to break them into smaller groups. And what that will look like is we'll create cohorts and we'll just meet, you know, the first one will meet at noon, the second one will meet at 2, the third one will meet at 4, you know, whatever we need to do. But we want to make sure that everyone gets heard in these masterminds and that everyone has time to share the information that they want to share, because otherwise, what's the point? You know, if you're just getting talked at again, then it's just another video course. And that's what we're trying to do a little differently than everybody else.
Yeah, I really wanted to bring the engagement. So I just finished an MTR course, which was an 8-week course. And for the most part, we had different teachers come in and speak, and it was really great. We got so much out of it. But what I am sad about at the end of it, because last night was our last night, is that I didn't feel like I came away knowing those people. And that was something that I really liked about our mastermind. It's like I got to know people's families, and even if their families weren't there, it was just like all their background story and like their why and what they're doing all this for. We had some really great deeper questions. And so I want to have an environment where we're so engaged that I know everyone's name, I know where they're from, I know what they're working towards. And what's really valuable about that is because I know what they're looking for or needing or where they're trying to invest, if I hear about an opportunity, I can go, oh my God, you got to meet this person. And if not, I don't have those things to put together, right? So I just think that relationship building is also
Yeah,
like a really valuable
it definitely
aspect.
is. And I think when you have a relationship with people, you also feel more comfortable reaching out to them outside of that mastermind time. So even though we're going to have an hour
Yeah.
mastermind and then maybe some Q&A afterwards, maybe you feel like, oh, you know what was interesting? That person said that they were near a location that I was interested in. You can just reach out to them because now you feel like you have a relationship with that person, and give them a call, reach out to them
Yeah.
on Facebook, whatever you want to do. Interestingly enough, you said you do lots of conferences and trainings. I also do lots of conferences and trainings because I feel like it is extremely valuable for us to always keep learning. So I am part of an
Yeah.
accelerator program, and I had someone do this with me the other day. We were on a call. They didn't say a word to me while we were on the call, but afterwards they sent me a text message. They said, hey, I'd really love to have a quick 5-minute conversation with you. And we got on a call and we chatted. We ended up chatting for like 30 minutes because we were interested in what each other was doing. And it was really fun to be able to have that direct connection with that person as opposed to being in a room with 300 people and not really making that connection.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so I can't remember how we met, but we met a while ago, and I've seen you like maybe a year or two ago when I was in Steamboat, and then you thought of me when you were putting together this event, and I came out to it. But out of that event was this mastermind that we're creating now, and possibly this whole pricing consultancy that you're going to do after this. And so those are crazy cool businesses that just came out of a whim, right? So we're kind of showing that, wow, the power of getting to know people that are doing the same kind of stuff. You might get cool partners out of it. Like now I want to be Jake's mom. I want to invest in stuff, whatever you're doing, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm like that Kona project,
Exactly.
sign me up. But it's just like fun when you get to know somebody and really see their strong suits and get to trust them. That's where partners come from. That's where opportunities come from.
And
That's where businesses come from. So
yeah,
I just want to
definitely.
get
And
people
I think there
together.
were so many more things that happened aside from just you and I as well. Because, for example,
Yeah.
last minute, Ziana invited a designer friend to come be part of this. And she lives in an Airbnb property. And she just bought her second property and has been fixing it up. But she has this design business that is a big part of her life now. And I will tell you that I was blown away by her design business and me saying, oh my God, I could hire this person to go to my property wherever it is in the world. And we were just talking about my Kona property. My mom lives in Kona, Hawaii. So I'm always toying with the idea of buying a property in Kona so that I have a great place to stay when I'm there visiting my mom. But I was talking to her and I said, how much extra do you charge me to go to Kona, Hawaii? And she said, I don't charge extra. It's just the same fee plus my travel. That's it. Are you kidding? I can pay, I think her fee was something like $3,500 plus $1,000 per bedroom. And that included a full design, them giving me a sheet of every item that they're going to purchase and me being able to approve those, and then them going there and actually setting up the property. I cannot tell you how hard it was for me to set up my last property in Gulf Shores, Alabama. 10 bed, 7 bath property. I spent
Oh
hundreds
my
and
God,
hundreds and hundreds of
killer.
hours online researching, buying things, and then I can't tell you, at least 200 hours myself personally out there doing projects. And that was with me hiring handymen and electrician and painters and everyone to do all the actual work. That was just me unpacking stuff and washing it and putting it in the room. So
Totally.
that blew my mind, and I am super excited to work with her in the future.
Yeah, if you guys want to work with Rachel or Amy at Bitsy Blue, I put their website in the comments, so definitely check them out. Amy does all of my places. Rachel is her new kind of co-owner, and they're both wildly talented, and they do most of the projects that I sell to investors around the Denver area, and even some, I know they've got one coming up in Miami. They did one in Tampa recently. Amy's flown with me to a bunch of my different properties out to Washington State. Like it's really fun. But that's like something that I learned about kind of just giving someone else this job. Like I think it was really hard for me to let go of design and just wanting to be like a mama with my property. But through the burglary that just happened in Atlanta, I couldn't fly back out to refurnish the house. And so I ended up hiring somebody that a friend of mine has worked with, and he's doing all of it, which was like 70% of the furniture for like $1,700. And I'm just like, what was I thinking? Like when we did it originally, I flew out, my husband flew out, my co-owner's husband flew out, and we were all there taking time off of work and whatever, renting a car. Like it was so much to do that, and our time is so valuable that it's totally ridiculous. So yeah, it's great to find people that are just inherently good at something and hiring it out if you can. So we're fortunate to be at that place now
Right.
that we
And
can.
sometimes those big aha moments, I feel like, come out of necessity. I can't tell you how many times I have found in this business where I got really good at hiring a cleaner and a handyman who could take care of my house without me because I had a child and I could not go anymore to my property. It was like, no, you are going to be here because we're about to, go into labor and have a child. Okay, I need to figure out a way for someone else to take care of this for the next 3 to 6 months at least, because I'm not leaving my house for that period of time. So I love what you're saying there. And it is amazing sometimes when you actually do that research, because we all have in our head that no one can do anything as well as us. And the reality is that is not true. There are...
we suck at things. There's some things we suck at.
Well, just realizing the things that you love doing, do it. But the things that you don't love doing, find someone who does love doing them and give them a job, and both of you will be more successful because of it.
Yeah, I love that. So if you guys are just joining, we are talking about the SDR MTR Mastermind that we are working on launching. That's coming up in mid-May. I got distracted by a text. My assistant must be ordering furniture because my credit card keeps saying like, this was approved. And I'm like, okay, stop, money's bleeding. Yeah. So one thing that is interesting is that I have an assistant who does a lot of my operations, but it's almost ridiculous how much our meetings are around technologies that's changing. So as you guys might know, the MTR space is really, really new. The STR space has a lot of technology, and now they're trying to adapt to MTR. So there's always something changing. And for example, just the places where we were collecting rent, for example, we used Cozy, and then Cozy turned into apartments.com. And then we went to Avail because Avail had leases and apartments didn't. And then we're going back to Zillow now because Zillow does marketing, screening, leases, and rent collection, but they didn't before, right? So it's always like, how am I staying on top? How am I learning what's the best thing? It's from talking to other people who are like fully engaged in the industry and constantly reinvesting in it. So like we both said, we're always taking courses. We're going to conferences. We're listening to other people and what they're teaching and reading about the latest things. And I think that's so important. And it's not just important in the operations space, but it can be important in the tax loophole space, because that changes all the time, and strategy of, hey, do I want to invest in rental properties or syndications, or should I be in whole life insurance? Like all that kind of stuff are things that we can talk about together. And I think it's so great to put 20 heads together instead of one or two, right? Because my assistant, she may not know much, right? So it's great if I can bring it to the group and say, I've been thinking about trying this weird thing. What do you guys think about it? So yeah, I just think these are all valuable things that can come up in the mastermind.
Definitely. And all of those things are things that even when you are an expert or feel like you really know them well, it's amazing when something new pops up. I think what you were talking about with Zillow was actually something we discovered at our mastermind that we were having, because I was using Zillow for my leases and for rent collection, and you said, oh, I knew that they were doing one of those, but I didn't realize they were doing the other one. And it's totally by chance that I knew that and Z didn't. Right.
And then you even mentioned it. But yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
We were having that conversation that we realized that, and now, you know, maybe you can save 50 or $100 a month because you're not having to go to a separate service to do background checks, or I'm not having to go to a separate service to process my payments, or whatever it is. All of those things, if you start to add up those 1% betters, that's what is it called? Marginal gains, aggregation of marginal gains. If you add these 1% gains up, you end up with this incredible life that you've created for yourself, because it was just 1% today, and then another 1% tomorrow. And they're these tiny little steps, but you get better and better. And then in the end, wow, look at where I came from. You know, this is amazing.
Yeah. So if you guys are just joining, I've got Jake Cohen here from Step BNB. He also has a course where he teaches people about STRs. But I wanted to invite you guys to ask questions. I forget that I didn't say that. So if you had any questions for either of us, please put them in the chat, because we're about to wrap up here. And if not, you know, you can reach out, DM us later. And I'll also check the comments on this. I'll post it. We'll both post it in our, what do you call it, page on Instagram? Sure, let's call it page. Yeah, so let's go over a couple of the details. So our SDR MTR Mastermind is going to be once a month. We are going to put people in pods, smaller groups, and they are going to be encouraged to meet more often if they'd like. It could be once a week. It could be every other week. It could be more than that, and you could do one-on-ones too. So just know that it's going to be a great support. We're really going to encourage people to participate. And so the name of the game is engagement, and we're going to have topics out there that people can either sign up to teach. If they want to make a PowerPoint, do a presentation, awesome. If they just want to bring a discussion topic and say, I'm really struggling with this right now, I'm kind of curious about testing that. We'll have time for different topics each time that we meet, and just really encourage that so that we get to know the group and have everybody's voice in, because I think that's where the magic happens. We are charging $250 a month for this program, and it will be ongoing. So you can join in whenever if you'd like, but our first one starts in mid-May. And what I'd like to do, and I never told you this, is I'd like to cap it at 50. So if we do get to that point, we would just have 2 sessions that would be separate, so we can have smaller groups of 25 max. And after that, it would just be, we would have kind of a wait list. So if somebody does drop off, we'll add people in. So I wouldn't wait if you're kind of feeling like, oh, you know, I'd like to join, but maybe I'll do it, you know, next quarter or something. It might not be open at that point. So, you know, no time like the present. If you can do it, we would love to have you. Also know that it's an application process, so we're not accepting everyone. We want to make sure that where your goals are kind of matches the group. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be super experienced, because Rachel, for example, was pretty new at short-term rentals, and she brought a lot. And so it can be really experienced people and some that are a little less so. So don't feel intimidated if you're feeling like you're kind of new. I think for a lot of people that are getting started with their first or second unit, it might be really nice to have this whole group to hold you through the journey, because you can go, oh God, what mattress do I need? And then you can go, what operation software do I need? And then what do I do about this lease? It's like, as you hit the problems,
Yeah, and
you've got someone to turn
something
to.
that, man, I wish
Yeah,
I had as I was getting started in this business was I don't feel like there was as much of a
totally.
community as there is now in the short-term rental space. And it's really cool to see that grow now. But like Z said, we are not going to have this just be a 300 person crazy mass of people. We do want to keep it so that it's very personal. We
Yeah.
get to know each and every one of you personally and can help you find the things that you need, whether that's like Z was talking about with, tax savings or something like that. Maybe you're at that point in your business where you're ready to do a cost segregation study. Both of us have done those. We can point you in the right direction. Here's someone that we've had great success with. We really recommend them. That is something that in this industry, finding the right contractor, the right handyman, the right cleaner, the right CPA.
CPA.
Exactly.
So
All
many
of those
people.
people that
Yeah.
are part of your team, it seems like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just go to my CPA that my mom used. Well, your mom's CPA does not know anything about short-term rentals. And I will tell you, after being in this business for this long, I am now paying someone a lot of money to help me with my taxes, because there is so much that you can save on if you know how to do it the right way. But you can't wait until it's time to file
Yeah.
taxes and figure it out. You have to plan a full year ahead to get those savings. So all of those things, I think, are things that you can really find a ton of value out of this mastermind. And we are very excited to get to know each and every one of the people that join us on this journey.
Totally. Passive income golfer just said that they applied. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to see and meet all of you guys. Yeah, one thing that came up recently is I have Amy that I was inviting to the Midterm Rental Summit. Totally sold out event. Amy ended up hurting herself. She's the designer I work with. And I had a free ticket and I offered it to somebody in my MTR course. And now he's going to fly out from Florida and he gets to be my roommate. And we're going to go to this event that otherwise he wouldn't have been able to go to. So there is value in knowing us and being connected to us and how we can help you, reach whatever you're trying to strive for. So I just think it can be really exciting. So I'm feeling pumped about it.
And for those of you who are looking for the details, our first session is going to be May 10th at noon Mountain Standard Time. Both Ziana and I are in Colorado, so everything is based around Mountain Time, but obviously you can join from wherever you are. We would love to have people from both coasts and even international. Ziana, many people may not know this about you, but you have actually managed STRs in multiple countries in the world, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 countries. And the fun part is that our first session, I'm going to be in Mexico. So I'm totally going to just log in from Mexico. So yeah, you can definitely be anywhere, which is what's really cool about being online. It looks like Kaylee, who is a real estate CPA, she has applied. So that's so exciting because now we've got someone who really knows real estate and who really knows the tax loopholes, because even though, Jake and I have done a lot of research and we've been in this game a long time, it wasn't even until last year that I got a really dialed in strategic CPA, and that's changed the whole game for me. And that was like 9 years in, 10 years into the business. So having someone from the beginning know how to set up even just the right entities, how to protect themselves from liability. There's things that I'm still doing now that are on my to-do list that I should have done before. So valuable for you guys to be in a group with a CPA.
Yeah, thanks,
That's
Kaylee.
crazy
We
cool.
look forward to hearing all your tips and tricks. Not to put you on the spot or anything, but we may put you on the spot.
I know. We're like, Kaylee, first class?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's on everyone's mind because we're filing taxes. You know, a lot of people just did. Many of us have extended. So it's definitely here. I'm doing bookkeeping today. Yeah. Any more things that you want to add? Some little nuggets. Something to mention is we're also going to have a Facebook group. So it'll be a private group for everybody that's in the mastermind. And that's just going to be another way to ask questions, connect. If you're doing deal analysis or, you know, furnishing a house and you've got questions about things, that'll be a place that you can get in touch with us quickly and other group members. And that can be a really great engaged space. So yeah. Anything else, Jake? We didn't get any questions, guys. Come on.
You
No
can ask
questions?
us, you can ask us anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be about short-term rentals. Yeah.
That's true. But that's okay. A lot of people end up watching this later once it's posted. So it's just fun
Absolutely.
when
Well,
people are engaging live.
it was really fun to be on with you. I'm sorry it took me 10 minutes to figure out how to engage on Instagram Live, but hey, from now on, I feel like I am an
Fine.
Instagram Live expert, pro. I'm ready.
Pro.
Yeah. So
Well, just to throw you off, we should
sure.
do a Facebook Live because it's totally different.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we'll probably do that next. And Brad Private Lending joined. So also cool to have somebody that comes from the private lending space, right? Hard money is something that people are really curious about. So, and sometimes people are not lendable. It's just great to know what your options are in those
definitely.
spaces.
I think the longer
awesome.
you go through real estate, the more you realize the one size fits all lending is not going to work for you, because that first property, you might be able to get the second home loan, but then you decide to buy another property in the same area and you say, oh man, I can't do that. Now what? And so I have definitely found having 10 or 12 different lenders in my contact list is very important.
Yeah, I know it's great to have a variety of things, especially you who likes to do crazy projects. So you probably need some real creative lending. Jay Hardy said that he just finished my book for the second time. Thank you, Jay. That's so cool. I'm going to just put a small plug for the book. I wrote a book that is published by Bigger Pockets called 30-Day Stay. It's all about midterm rentals. So if you guys are curious about it, it's on Audible. You can get it on Bigger Pockets. So definitely check that out if you're just getting started and want all the tips. Even if you're not getting started, there's a lot in there. So yeah, what was the last thing
I wanted to say is earlier today, I was starting the renovation project at my house. So I was demoing kitchen cabinets. So I just wanted to let you know that I am again in renovation mode. So thank you, Ziona. I am doing another $250,000 renovation.
Wow.
Here we go.
Here we go. Well, awesome, guys. Looking forward to seeing you in the group. And if you have any questions, just DM either of us and we'll see you soon.
Everybody.
Bye.